to environment. Somebody said something.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
So, good morning, everyone. So, in ancient Indian approach to environment, everyone please mute your mics.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please mute your mic. Krishna Mohan, Kiran Kumar, please mute your mic.
అరే ఏం తమాషా పెట్టిరా మీరు ఈడ? ఆ?
Kiran Kumar, please mute your mic.
ఓ, దిల్లే బోండా మన దాంట్లో ఏమంటే కదా ఇస్తేమో ఆడ వడేసి ఇది ఏమో తమాషా వేస్తారా ఏమి నాకు అర్థం
Mr.
కాదు.
Kiran Kumar.
Please mute your mic.
She has the right to purchase property which is from her own income, and she can sell the property which is acquired by herself from her income.
Some disturbance, sir, again.
For that she has complete capacity. Okay? So,
Disturbance from others or from this mic?
From your background.
Pardon?
Your mic, sir. Maybe a background noise from your mic.
Yeah, it's in the computer lab. At the other end, another faculty is taking a class for another year, second year.
Understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the ancient Indian approach to environment. This is comparatively smaller topic. Anyways, because the constitution session took long, this one will be a shorter session.
Sir, your
Because of the
voice is
topic
very
being a
low, sir.
smaller one.
Sir, your voice is very low. Not able to carry.
Just a sec. Is it better now? Ancient Indian
sir, it is
approach
better.
to environment. Okay.
Yes, sir. So we are in the ancient Indian approach to environment, sir. The same topic,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what
Okay.
we
Thank you.
starting today. It's a small topic. So, from immemorial times,
Your voice is very low, sir. Can you increase your pitch, sir, please?
yeah, from immemorial times, Indians who are known as Hindus considered man and environment as inseparable. In ancient India, one second, just a sec.
the property
Yeah, so Hindus considered from immemorial times both man and environment as not separable, inseparable. And in ancient India, environment was part of ethos of mankind, and environment is equated with the nature. So Vedas preached that protection and worship of nature is the dharma of every individual. According to Rig Veda, the universe consists of 5 elements such as earth. Earth is what is the term in term for earth in Sanskrit or in the Vedas? It is Prithvi or Shiti. Okay, and what is Jala? Water.
Water.
Yeah, and air is Vayu or Pavan, and fire is Agni or Samira, and space is Akash or Gagan. Okay, so these 5 elements were mentioned in the Rig Veda itself. So Hindus consider that both nature and man as one and the same, as they are made of these Panchabhuta, 5 elements, Panchabhuta. Rigveda portrays the beauty of morning, Usha, trees, plants, and wildlife, and their importance to the community. So, Atharva Veda states that pure water cures many ailments, and it acts as a preventer of the diseases which are not yet contracted. So, Atharva Veda considers trees abode of various gods and goddesses. Atharva Veda preaches that one can take from the earth and nature only so much as one puts back into them. So, whatever they take from the nature, they should be able to put it back into the nature. So, 1 second, just a second. Okay, so this concept resembles the present day principle of sustainable management of natural resources. So, something which we are, the UN is talking now and talking about, sustainability, sustainable development, and sustainable management and all. For this, if we see way back in, through the Vedas and all. And the practices of ancient times in India. At that time itself, this sustainable aspect was there, and they were talking about taking from the nature and putting back into the nature. So, Atharva Veda stresses the protection of wildlife and domestic cattle. At the beginning in Yajna, cattle were meant to adorn the ceremony and not for sacrifice. In ancient India, people used to perform yajna. Yajnas were performed in Vedic societies to purify the surrounding air and to keep the environment healthy. Yajurveda emphasizes that relationship with nature should not be that of dominion and subjugation, but of mutual respect and kindness. Mutual respect and kindness. Yajurveda indicates that offering of butter and firewood into the sacrificial fire, that is Agni, dissolves them into subtly so as to settle in the atmosphere, and thus yajna makes atmosphere free from impurities and stink. They perform a type of yajnas to satisfy the god of Varuna to get rains. According to Samaveda, yajna helps in keeping away the mosquitoes and other insects which are harmful to the health of mankind. And mankind lived and flourished in nature. Human habitations all through the ages spread along the river banks and in close proximity to water sources. Forests have natural growth along with the river belt. It is these forests that provided shelter for people. Ancient Indians knew that trees were friends of mankind, and forests were necessary for human existence and civilization to thrive. Forests to provide food and support for our forefathers living in the state of nature. Rishi established all the rishis, those times rishis, they established their ashrams and gurukuls in forests and along river banks. That is why there is copious reference to forests and rivers in the Vedas and ancient literature of our ancient times. So, doing harm to these trees was believed to offend forest spirits and deities. Trees were worshipped in the past. Rivers were considered goddesses. Rishis warned against deforestation and cutting of trees as though they were thought that this would result in poor rainfall. During Epic Age, that is 1700 BC, protection of nature and natural resources was considered sacred, and the destruction of forests was considered to be a great sin. It is noteworthy that the killing of animals in the name of yajnas has been condemned in Mahabharata as a mad and indiscriminating act. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it has been clearly said that a man who, with exclusive devotion, offers respect to sky, water, earth, and heavenly bodies, living beings, trees, rivers, and seas, and all created beings, and considers them as part of the body of the Lord, attains the state of supreme peace and God's grace. Shloka 14 of chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita makes it clear that the blood and semen are chemical transformation of cereal consumed. From the seminal sperm, creators are begotten, but the cereal grows because of water that rains, and the rains are brought about through
Okay. So this is regard to animal cruelty against animals and also
the yajna and sacrificial fire. So, moral injunctions towards environmental preservation and conservation under Hindu culture were provided in literature. Such injunctions were propagated by Smritis during the time of 600 to 200 BC, and Manusmriti condemned cruelty towards animals. According to Manusmriti, the killer of the cattle is doomed to die as many times as there are hair on the skin of the cattle. It is further mentioned that even after death, he shall have no peace. Manusmriti prescribed the optimum use of natural resources. This is another way of maintaining ecosystem. Manu warned the people not to eat rotten food which may cause disease. To maintain the quality of water and to avoid the water pollution, he advised not to contaminate water by urine, stool, coughing, UPS objects, blood, and poison.
whose property is legally placed by the property of a dead person. But here we cannot have any rights or we cannot have a duties. Coming to his body, illegal
Similarly, Yajnavalka, Smriti, Charaka, Smriti, etc., stressed the use of water for maintaining its purity. Killing of birds and animals was strictly prohibited. In Yajna Valka Smriti, cutting trees was punishable offense. Buddhism in 6th century BC preached ahimsa or non-violence and fought against animal sacrifices. Similarly,
even after death also. Okay?
Jainism preached ahimsa and universal love towards all species. In Puranic literature has full respect towards the nature and environment, and in Narasimha Puran, trees were have been personified as the god Brahma himself, and in Skanda Purana, it is stated that Peepal tree, Peepal, Peepal tree, is supreme of all other trees, as Lord Vishnu is to all other lords. And Varaha Puran advocates regular plantation as a means to achieve heaven. In Matsya Puran, plantation of a tree has been equated with the progeny of 10 sons. Vishnu Dharma Shastra says that if you plant a tree, it will be your son in the next generation. It is stated in Padma Puran that those who sacrifice cattle are doomed to perdition. It is mentioned in Padma Puran and Kurma Puran that the trees like people, bel, bur, neem, etc., are abode of God and hence they are not to be cut. So all this meant to conserve the vegetation. In Hindu theology, forests, trees, and wildlife protection held a place of special reverence. These were worshipped as ritual. Our ancestors were nature worshippers because worshipping was a form of greatest admiration for them in nature. It also highlights of potentialities of nature in controlling the climate, increasing fertility and improvement of human life, emphasizing for intimate kinship with nature. We consider fish, matsya, tortoise, kurma, pig, varaha, lion, narasimha as parts of Dasavataras of God Vishnu and worship them. So in Hinduism, nature is considered as the body of God. And worship plants, tulsi, trees, people and birds, Garuda and animals, lion as the Vahanas, carriers of gods and goddesses. The bird Garuda is the vehicle and snake Sheshu as the pet of Lord Vishnu and have been worshipped by Vaishnavites. Okay. Similarly, lion is the vehicle of goddess Durga and is worshipped by Shaktites. Peacock is the vehicle of Kumara Swami. A mouse, which is Mushika, is the vehicle of Ganesha, son of Shiva, and worshipped by Savaites. Hinduism was compassion for wildlife, birds, and animals. Similarly, Hindu way of life with environmental protection has been followed in civilizations of Mohenjo-daro, Harappa between 2000 and 5000 BC as evidence from the inscriptions on pots, arts, and architecture. However, no evidence can be traceable through records relating the environmental protection legislations in these civilizations. It is only during the Mauryan period we find the first legal provisions relating to environment are recorded in Kautilya's Arthashastra in the 300 BC. And Kautilya envisaged a systematic management of forests. The quantum of punishment for felling of trees was in proportion to utility of tree. Management of forests was conditioned by the need for promotion of forest-based industries or crafts, exploitation of forest wealth in making household articles, and for defense purposes. Timber cut from the forest was also exported. It seems with the Aryan civilization, nature was exploited, trees cut, and forests cleared for satisfying the fast expanding social needs of housing, carts, etc. So the environment conservation as it existed during the Mauryan period, 324 BC, 187 BC, continued more or less unaltered in the Gupta period, which was from 300 AD to 673 AD. Prohibitions for forest destruction and animal killing were announced by many kings like Ashoka. However, the end of Gupta Empire saw reversion of environmental conservation.
That is, thing belong to nobody. Okay, so yes, the decent burial should be performed in the body of the dead person.
In a medieval period, if we see,
After the death of the man,
during the medieval period, agriculture was the main basis of the economy. Reclamation of wasteland and clearing of forests was a regular part of the people. This was encouraged by the government since the increase of land under cultivation meant an increase in revenue. Government used to give the right of holding the land which was cleared from the forest, and this deforestation has been increased. The wastes and forest lands were treated as open access resources. The products of the forests conserved by the local people themselves were exempted from cess. However, during the Mughal period, a significant contribution from the 5 minutes.
that is with regard to donation of organs, human transplant.
This was from the point of view of environmental conservation and established magnificent gardens, fruit orchards, green parks round about the emperor's palaces, central and provincial headquarters, public places on the bank of rivers and in the valleys. The famous Mughal gardens attracted every nook and corner of the country. And during the British rule, the establishment of the British rule organized forest management to plunder the natural resources. During the 19th century, attempts were made to regulate water pollution, wildlife, and land use by enacting laws by the British government. Some of the acts made by British India, if we see, some of them are, one is Shore Nuisance, Bombay and Colaba Act 1853, Oriental Gas Company Act 1857, the Forest Act 1865, the Serais Act 1867, the Northern Indian Canal and Drainage Act 1873, the Forest Act 1878, the Elephant Preservation Act 1879, the Obstruction in Fairways Act 1881, Indian Fisheries Act 1897, the Indian Ports Act 1901, Bengal Smoke Nuisance Act 1905, the Explosives Act 1908, Bombay Smoke Nuisance Act 1912, Wild Birds and Animals Act 1912, the Inland Stream Vessel Act 1917, the Poison Act 1919, the Indian Boilers Act 1923, the Workmen's Compensation Act 1923, Forest Act 1927, Holding Act 1929, the Motor Vehicles Act 1839, the Bihar Wasteland Reclamation, Cultivation and Improvement Act 1946, the Mines and Minerals Regulation and Development Act 1947, the Damodar Valley Corporation Prevention of Pollution of Water Regulation Act 1948, the Factories Pollution and Pesticides Act 1948, the Employees State Insurance Act 1948, and these were the laws made by Britishers for their own interest and were of limited effects. So these were the various aspects of ancient Indian approach and pre-independence aspects during British time. So this is it for today. So you'll have we'll continue on the next topic tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Tomorrow is a holiday, right?
Yeah, it is no classes. So if students are free to come for flag hoisting if they want to come to college.
Okay. What time it will be, sir?
Around 9:30, 10 o'clock. 9:30, I think.
Okay. So all students are welcome, right?
Sir, is there permission?
Just precaution.
I'm sorry, sir.
Exercise precaution, mask and little bit
Yeah,
of distance and all.
Right. Okay. Sir, any material is going to collect? Can we collect any material from college, sir?
No, you only have access to library, but library will be closed tomorrow.
Okay. If we want to buy any kind of books, where can we take, sir? Any idea, please?
Asia Law House is there. Some shops are there in Koti also. Asia Law
Sir-
House is opposite High Court.
Okay. Is college going to give some material or notes, sir? Printed notes to students?
No, whatever we do during classes, that's it.
Okay. Mhm. Some of the seniors are suggesting Sujata Law series. Is it helpful, sir? Any kind of?
So we don't comment on that.
Okay.
Okay, all right. That's it
Thank
for
you.
today. Good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.